In today's episode, we're discussing the story or concept of being a hero or villain in someone else's story.
It's going to be a doozy.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Let's get started.
Yeah, this is going to be a continuation kind of from the last episode that we did about ownership. Because it's the ownership one, it was an interesting topic because we discussed it about a friend of Jayson's who felt like she was being owned, but this was all done energetically. It wasn't done on the physical level, and that's the reason why you can't really see it on the physical level, because everything was happening energetically. And I wanted to continue that topic on with being a hero or villain in someone else's story, because just in everyday life, sometimes we are a hero or a villain in someone else's story without actually even meaning to be. So for an example, being a villain, let's say talk about being a villain in someone else's story, could just purely be that you are not doing what someone else is telling you to do. And they really believe that you need to do what they tell you to do. So in a way, they're upset with you for not doing what they say. So kind of in a way, they perceive you to be their villain because you're not listening.
Oh, simply just not doing as you're told.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So it does come down to power struggles as well. People feeling that they're more powerful than you.
Yeah.
So that comes into the mix a little bit as well.
I found this topic really interesting, just purely for with the simple example of not doing as you're told. I will use me as an example. As all children, we have parents that tell us not to do things. Even as children, you get up, the parents get upset, let's say. And I'm not saying that all parents may think this, but it's just an example that they may perceive you as their villain because you're not doing as they're telling you to do, and they believe what they're telling you to do is the right thing. Even up until grown-uphood, sometimes parents, friends, family member, government may think that they know better and tell people what to do, yet the people might decide, well, that's not right for me. And choose something else. And you're right, it does come back to power struggle.
Yeah. Also, it's also connected to, we've had this done to us a lot with people wanting to create scripts. They have agendas or scripts for us that would pretty much tell us that this is the script you're going to be playing. And because we're going against the script or going against what they want us to do, all of a sudden we're not liked. We become the villains in their game because we're not playing the agenda or playing out the scripts that they are creating for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hang on a minute, it's my game, my rules, my life. I create what I want to create. You don't create for me unless I have no personal power, no anything at all, and I just have to give it all away to them. That would make you a villain, or a villain's a good word because it's very dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah, villain is actually a really good word because it is very dramatic.
Colourful word.
It is. And it is also a connection to a podcast that we've done a couple of podcasts ago about, I call it June, but it's not actually, we didn't title it June. It was titled something about humanity standing up for themselves. Yeah, it's almost connected to that as well, because sometimes the villain can be a hero, sometimes the hero can be a villain, and everyone's perception of a hero and a villain is going to be different. For every single person. What could be a hero for one person might be a villain for the other people, and vice versa as well. So it can be a very fine line. And I'm also remembering The Matrix, remember?
I was getting that too.
Oh, okay. I must have picked it up from you. Because you said to me that people have actually commented that Agent Smith was the real hero in the movie, because he was the one that catapulted all this dramatic change.
Without even trying.
Yeah.
And then he pretty much awakened Neo.
Yeah.
Killed him off. Neo had this Christ awakening, rebirthing, superhero, saved the day, changed the game.
He realised who he was. Yeah.
Again, and that comes down to a lot of podcasts we've talked about with the government. The government's a really good one.
Yeah.
It's like all this stuff that's been playing out continues to play out non-stop, and they're perceived to be the villains, but on the other side of the coin, they're actually helping us to move forward, to wake up, step into our personal power, and really take root of what we want to create, and not be dictated by the script they want us to follow. For us to create our own scripts, our own life, our own, I guess, way of doing things for ourselves.
Very true. I'm going to use me as an example again, because it's the only examples that I have. I'm even getting with me, even though we've spoken about being creative and creativity is important, but I do find that sometimes with my own self, I find that the creativity can be more of a distraction. And I don't know if this is true, because I love being creative, but it can also be a distraction from what I need to achieve. Say, for example, the podcast or doing things at home or something along those lines. Sometimes I feel it can be a distraction. And sometimes I feel it can also be an escape as well. So after you just mentioned that about, the government's actually helping us to make us realize what we want to create in our life, it triggered a memory of the artwork as well. So I'm not saying artwork is not great. Artwork for me is amazing, but I look at it in a way now, after talking to you in this very moment, that it is a balancing act between the two, and to really to really prioritize what is most important in life as well, and don't let people dictate to you.
No, I'm also getting the superhero movies. So we're talking about the villains and the superheroes. Realistically, without the villain or the superhero, would it be too blah, blah, blah?
Well, that's exactly what the architect spoke about in The Matrix. Without drama, how are people going to achieve what they want to achieve?
How can they just define themselves and move forward without all this drama, villain versus hero?
You look at the Avengers, without Thanos, I think that's the only one that came to mind. Without him, there would be no trying to save the world, the galaxy, the universe. But that's what I was also mentioning with the art creativity with me just before, is that because I recognize streaming, and we have spoken about streaming a lot as well. And sometimes streaming can be a really awesome thing because it can be a positive move for someone, but sometimes streaming can be more of a distraction. So in that regard, it's like the villain and the hero at the same time, because it's the villain trying to distract me, but it's the hero going, well, I'm choosing this. This is my path. So it's the catapult again for us to make that choice of what is for our good, I guess. Yeah.
So in a way, the villains are asking, or their job is to step everybody into being their own superhero.
Which is a lot like that podcast that we spoke about with the June subject as well. Without the bad guys, unfortunately, is that what we're trying to say here? That without the duality, we can't evolve.
Not at the level of consciousness that we're at.
Okay.
Because this duality reality really is a lower consciousness realm. So we are being asked to step more into, that's what we talk about, neutrality.
Yeah.
So it's not like you stop feeling.
No.
It's just like you stop being emotionally in drama.
Yeah.
Needing to lose your shit.
Yeah.
Which also can be beneficial as well, because when you get really angry, sometimes they say when you get really angry, you get so angry, that's when you shift.
Yeah, it's like that firecracker up your
butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another way of propelling you forward as well. It's like, I've had enough. I'm sick of all these morons or villains. And it's like, what do I need to do to move forward?
Yeah.
What is the canyon to jump over? Most of the time it's in your head.
Yeah.
So it's really there to propel us, maybe on a level, to step forward and keep moving forward, not just be, as Esther Hicks says, staying on your stump.
Yeah, that's right.
And not moving. So it's a... And you've also got, you know, the hero's journey as well. So you're going through the different aspects of the hero's journey.
What is the hero's journey again?
Oh, I can't remember on top of my head, but there's a formulation that happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like the hero goes through this particular journey where there's drama and stress, and he's got to compete against the villain or overtake the villain. And through that process, it's a long process. And we all go through it in our lives.
Is it like, I'm just getting, for example, a lot of the hero movies?
In a way, there's a lot of movies which base the format of the movie on the hero's journey.
That's what I was thinking, because you've got like, you have your villain, you've got your hero. And then the hero, I'm getting Superman, for example. You know, the hero grows up and stuff like that, becomes the superhero. And then all of a sudden the villain comes in.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a battle.
Yeah. To match that superhero.
It always has to be the exact opposite of that superhero. So so Superman's opposite would be the same people from his planet, but just obviously opposite. And then Superman goes through some kind of, I don't know, crisis of some sort where he feels like he's not worthy anymore. So then that plummets back down again. And then he goes on a soul-searching journey where he finds his place again, where he comes back up and defeats the villain. So it's almost like a graph that you could generally, on nearly every superhero movie, they go up, they go down, and they go back up again.
And a lot of it's based on human emotion. Because I'm getting, is it number 1 or number 2 Superman, where Lois gets something, there's earthquakes all over the place, and she gets trapped in a car and she's getting buried alive, and he's trying to spin the world backwards to change time.
Yes, I remember that one.
So he's going through this human love and emotion and feelings and anger, and he's trying to save the day. Can't remember if he does.
No.
Does he save her in the end?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I
want to say yes, but I don't.
I'm going to say yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually remember.
Yeah, let's keep it positive.
Yeah, let's go with the yes.
So he saves the day, saves her, but he has to use his superhero powers.
Yeah.
And that's part of the hero's journey, try to save the day.
Yeah, but they always seem to go through some kind of either mental or emotional or personal crisis where it's almost like they have to do some soul searching in order to come out again. So it's almost like they've got their villain, their physical villain that they've got to fight, but then they've got their own inner demons that they need to overcome as well to be back up on the top as the superhero again. But then you've also got the super villain as well, who plays a real critical role. I'm
getting Batman and the Joker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the Joker plays a really good villain for his little villain helpers. And there's Batman trying to save the day. But he doesn't really have superhero. He's not really a superhero per se, doesn't he? Can't fly or have X-ray vision.
Yeah, he's not like a...
It's all tech.
Yeah. He's a superhero, but he's a dark superhero. He just doesn't have the extra stuff.
And he's running on childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there's all this trauma playing out in the background, isn't there?
And there's a very interesting... I was watching a short on Christian Bale, so we're talking about Batman, on Christian Bale and Heath Ledger being the Joker. And they said that Christian Bale was saying when they watched Heath Ledger play the Joker, they were like, we need Batman to be at that same caliber. Because I haven't actually seen that Batman yet. And after watching that short...
It's pretty dark.
It might be an interesting topic for us to discuss as well. Going back to Christian Bale, they said, so he said after watching Heath Ledger, they need to have that Batman at that same caliber of the Joker, of how he portrayed the Joker. Because in one of the shorts in the movie, the Joker said to Batman he doesn't want to kill Batman because Batman completes him in the way of him being so super villainous. Batman just gives him that freedom of being so bad.
The inspiration.
Yeah, that the Joker doesn't want to kill Batman. It's almost like he wants to play a game of cat and mouse with Batman.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just watched that probably last week and it popped in my head. So kind of gone off the topic of being a villain in someone's life, but not really. So if we bring it back down to more of a everyday life for us, being a villain or a hero in someone's life. So being a villain in someone's life, again, comes back down to not really doing as you're told.
I want to go into...
Okay.
I want to cut you off there because
Yeah.
I'm just getting... We've had a lot of interference or a lot of battles with galactic villains.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been really challenging.
Yeah.
And in a way, we've done the energetic behind the scenes superhero thing.
Yeah.
And we've had to really up our gifts and our talents and become stronger, be more knowing of self, have better boundaries, not buy into the drama, gather more tools, even have support as well. And if it wasn't for the interference and all the hoo-has we've been doing together for like 8 years now, we wouldn't have... I don't know if we'd be sitting here sharing our knowledge and our wisdom and our experiences.
That's a really good point.
So the villains in our life, and I've had family members who have been villains.
Yep.
And
Yep,
it's
me
taught me
too.
to be independent, more stronger, reliant on more of myself, not needing to go outside of self as much. So without that as well,
Yep.
I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yep.
Because I perceive myself to be a fairly strong individual with what I've had to go through, all the traumas, all the near-death experiences, all the hoo-ha, like major. But it's made me who I am today, where I can sit and share my perceptional understanding. And so people need to understand that even though they're going through crises and traumas and they've got their own little villains playing out, maybe it's there to help us to grow.
That's why I asked, is this duality important?
I'm going to say at this stage of the game, yeah.
Yeah, maybe for this part of the game it is, to boost everyone in a direction that is going to be more beneficial for their own personal growth.
And if this is a simulation game scenario, and people say you've chose to come here, let's just say, okay, everybody's right about that. You've chosen to come here. You've chosen to come here to have the full experience.
If it is an experience, which I did get, this is all an experience as well, then maybe this could be one of the hardest games as well, because you've got the push-pull. It's always a push-pull. You do 2 steps forward and something will try to push you back. And it's always that push of having to move forward, get closer to your goal, push forward. Maybe that's the plan of the game.
Yeah. I'm also, when I was a student, I remember my teacher saying to me, Jayson, the more light you have within you, the more you reach in different levels of consciousness. And she said to me that, you're getting up there now. Your light is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But reality dictates that you have that darker aspect mirroring that light, which is the same with Batman and the Joker. Do you know where I'm going with that?
Yes, I do, because I've just all of a sudden clicked onto, because my game is mental. It's always been mental. Mm-hmm. And just by you saying that, and by me I get a lot of mental streaming. In a way, you're telling me that my thoughts are getting stronger. So therefore the streaming, not necessarily is getting stronger, but it's being done in another way to be the
equal,
you could say, to a point where I had negative streaming yesterday to keep me separated or segregated from everyone else. and not to make connections. And it was, it was not bad, but it was constant. Until I got to a point where I just said, you know what, you just need to shut up.
Yeah.
And then what I did, instead of trying to fight it, I gave it the same thing, but in a positive outtake. So I was getting be separate, be segregated, be this. And I was saying, giving all on a subconscious level or subliminal messaging or mental messaging, you are one, you are loved, your heart is awakening with true love. I was just literally giving the same back, but in the opposite format. Because if it's trying to segregate me, then it's trying to make me not have connection. So therefore, make the connection with people, make connections with people. But it's interesting that you've said there's always this equal. So no matter how far you go, there'll be like an equal to be at the same level. And I did read years ago that the false light.
Yeah.
So you've got the real true light, but then you've got the false light that could also actually balance or equal out to that real true light. Or you've got it's pretty much how high the light goes, there's an exact opposite to go with it in the opposite shade, color, feeling, emotion.
I just still having my mind when you're telling me about, you giving, open your heart and love and all that beautiful stuff. And I just said to you, just punch him in the face.
Well, you could do that as well. You are love. Ugh! And punch in the face.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. I love that. I still love that.
So we're coming to a conclusion where one of the conclusions are that our life, game, or however you want to communicate it, is based on being equal of shadow, light, superhero versus the villain.
So then how do you surpass that? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, how do you surpass it?
Yeah, how do you surpass it to a point where they can't actually, no matter what it happens, it can't actually affect you?
Would that be stepping more into neutrality?
Maybe. So instead of being black and white, it's now grey.
And when you get tampered with or whatever over, do your best not to be 100% triggered. Anger, whatever it is, the emotions which are playing out, and you just be in that neutrality space of, which is sometimes harder.
Oh yeah,
harder done than not.
I think it really just depends on what the trigger is.
Because I know that we're pretty good, but sometimes I'll lose my shit.
And I'm pretty sure I just did in the last week.
Yeah, and it's really easy to get caught up in some of those emotions.
Yeah.
Until you can pull yourself back and step into the feeling of it, but not the emotion of it.
Yeah. And
go, yeah, okay, we need to calm down here. We need to bring ourselves back into center, breathe. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that you're actually right about that. Maybe that's when you know that nothing can trigger you, is when you step into that whole neutral space.
Oh, can we use what happened to you yesterday with the van swap?
Oh, yeah.
Because that was really good, because you could have lost your marbles.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that. So yesterday, while at work, because today's Saturday, yesterday being Friday, luckily yesterday was Friday, because it just crazy shit happened.
It was a weird day.
It was a very strange day.
Energetically, it was strange.
Even the day before that with my coffee was also very energetically strange as well, but that's a different topic. And my very first stop has a free cafe, so I can get free coffee. And every Friday, because it's called Bowens here in Australia, it's a building company or building supply company.
Yeah, they sell timber and nails and screws.
Building supply company. Yeah. So every Friday they have a barbecue, and they technically don't need me to come in there, but it is a toilet stop. And being a driver, sometimes this toilet stop is very important to us. So because it's my very first stop and a toilet stop, I go there even on a Friday when they probably don't need me, and I get my free coffee and I get my free breakfast, which is a barbecue.
Anybody that knows Alison from this particular company will now know what she does on a Friday. The cat is out of the bag.
But there are some days, some Fridays, where I do actually make sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a complete loss going there.
No, but you need to go to the toilet anyway.
Yeah, it's actually my probably the only toilet stop that I can actually make in the day. And so I've got my food, got my coffee, I walk out, and all of a sudden I just see all this pink fluid pouring out of the van. And I just asked one of the guys that walked past, I said, excuse me, what is this pink stuff coming out of my van? And he goes, that's coolant. You're going to want to go to a mechanic straight away. I'm on the 2-way to the depot to head office and going, there's pink fluid pouring out of my van. What do I do? And I hope someone can hear me right now. So the mechanic comes back and says, switch the van off. I'm like, okay, cool. Switch the van off. And the interesting thing I thought was, it's funny how this was at my very first stop. Now I can actually enjoy my breakfast, enjoy my coffee while I wait for the guys to come up with a spare van to do a van swap. So we actually had to do a van swap. Take everything, and this is everything. Food, hot food, cold drinks, chips, lollies, chocolates, sandwiches, rolls, cakes, sweets, slices. What else is in there?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, everything. So once the guys rocked up, it took them probably about 45 minutes roughly about 45 minutes, because I had to organise everything, and then it still took a half an hour to get to where I am. And they rocked up, and it was 3 of the main guys, and I am so grateful for them coming, all 3 of them coming, because I don't know how long it would have taken if it was just one of them coming. So I'm very grateful that all 3 of them rocked up.
Yeah, they did a good job.
They did an awesome job. And within pretty much 5 to 10 minutes, everything was moved. And they positioned the spare van in a way that all they had to do was pick up the tray from my van and then place it in the next van. And then one guy was unloading the hot food in a tub, giving it to me, and I would load it into the spare van. While that's happening, the receptionist back at the depot actually had to call and cancel some stops, because I would have been running about an hour late if I had to do that. And unfortunately, I had to cancel some stops so that I could get back on time. That's all done, and I was on the road, and internally I'm still not freaking out and not stressing out, but I'm still like hyped up because I was still running 10 minutes late. And I kind of got it down to 5 minutes, but then things happened. It started raining, traffic, customers, rain. And whenever it's raining, people drive slower. And for some reason, customers take longer to pick food. I don't understand how that works. But
because it's raining and then enjoying the rain. It's
almost like, when you're in a rush to get somewhere, everything is in your way. That's what it felt like yesterday. But I had to keep my calm. I had to keep my calm. No matter how late I was, I had to keep my calm. And because it wasn't, my customers, the ones that I went to, had no idea. They just know, it's a different van. So some of them I would explain, the van broke down, so I had to do a van swap. But they don't know that in the morning I had to cancel some of my stops just to get to them on time. And that can be very stressful when you have to do a van swap in the middle of the day. Even in the morning when you have to do a van stop, because we have a swap, because we are not regulated, but we have to get to our stops on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is...
So why do you want to talk about that story?
Because it was all about neutrality and not losing your shit.
Yeah, okay. So the moral of the story, this story particularly, is no matter how late I was, I couldn't lose my shit.
No, because you know better.
Yeah. Even if I did, it wasn't going to help the situation at all.
No, I would have amplified it.
Yeah, exactly. So on the outside, I was very calm. On the inside, I was still stressed out a little, but not to the point where, because I knew on multiple levels that yes, I'm running late, and yes, I want to try and catch up, so I'm not running late. But at the same time, it's like, well, I'm running late. There's nothing I can do about it, really. So I just need to go with the flow and just continue to move forward. So the moral of that story in being neutral is even if life gets in the way, no matter how crazy it gets, be in a place of, if you can, neutral, going, well, okay, I could get really angry about this and lose control, or it's happened. How can I move on? How can I keep moving forward? Because you've got no choice but to move forward. So that's the neutrality part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the superheroes with the three mechanics
They were my superheroes.
coming in to save the day.
Yeah, they were my superheroes. And the villain was the leaky van.
Yeah.
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 Which, talking about villain. So, sorry, we've kind of gone off topic a little bit. But coming back to the villain of the story, I remembered about Wall-E, because the van just reminded me of Wall-E. The movie Wall-E, that in the ship, obviously people who have seen Wall-E, they found a plant from Earth. So the captain's like, all right, we're going back. But the villain in Wall-E was the AI robot that was controlling the ship as well. And it wasn't really a villain, because it was just following the instructions of the CEO who designed the ship and said, no matter under what circumstances Earth is done, don't bring anyone home or don't bring anyone back to Earth. So in that movie, the AI ship was only following orders, but also ended up being the villain of the story as well, purely because it was following orders and didn't have the understanding of, but this could be a possibility of new life. So sometimes a villain might just be someone who's just following orders and is really strict and doesn't have the capacity to think of the possibilities of what else there is. Sometimes it might not actually be like a villain. A villain could just be someone who has a different opinion as well.
It all depends on the individual script. So you've been handed a script before you come here into the game. To have that script given to you, then that's your script, or that's your part in the game. That's your character. And we've talked about this before. I wouldn't want to be a villain.
No, but they have got the toughest job to do.
But it's very easy for any of us to be a villain in somebody else's life or game.
Yeah.
What you said at the start, it can be as simple as somebody wants you to do something, or you don't agree on different perceptions and all that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, like, well, you become the villain then as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's different levels of it.
Yeah, we've just gone on to real basic to not so basic. Yeah, we've covered nearly all the levels.
Well, it is a spectrum, isn't it?
It is. It's a huge spectrum. If you think the rainbow, then yeah. There's different levels to it as well. I'm just remembering another point of being neutral. If anyone's seen the movie Buddha or Little Buddha with Keanu Reeves, there's a scene in there where Buddha is meditating and he's got arrows flying at him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the arrows just turn into rose petals. In a sense, to me, that is saying that Buddha was being neutral about the attacks that were happening to him. And because he was being neutral and he didn't get scared or he wasn't afraid of the attacks, the arrows turned into soft rose petals for him.
Yeah, I remember that. That was good. That was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that if someone is being a villain in your story and is projecting negativity to you, it comes back to what we just discussed before. If you are not in any fear and you don't get triggered by it, then it won't affect you as much.
Yeah, well, I've used a technique for a while. Everybody at home can do this. I call it the mirror technique. And I've had to use this a lot over the years. All of a sudden, I've done something without knowing what I've done and said, I do that to people. And I could feel the anger and the rage, the negativity just like arrows or spears. And I just visualize a mirror in front of me and have the intention of everything that's coming my way to be reflected back to that person. And it's like the mirror facing out to the person or people, for anybody at home, not the opposite way around.
No.
And facing outwards, and just have the intention of everything just bouncing off, reflecting off back to them.
Yep.
And a lot of times it will happen really well, and that person will stop it. Or you can see them getting it, what they've been giving to you, given back to them. And you can see their energetic shift. And in a way, they shut up energetically, as well as, because depending on what's playing out, they'll just stop. So, and the more you do it, the stronger it becomes. And I also will use, because I use the violet flame a lot.
Yep.
I will just activate the violet flame within from my heart around me, and to that person as well, to transmute. Because people can also be carrying or have attachments on them as well, and telling them, because most people, my perception of a lot of people out there who are not super conscious, they're a bit like puppets, and it's easy for entities or demonic attachments to speak and get them to do things
in
on
a way,
their behalf.
Yeah. And also get them to distract them as well.
Yeah. That's another tip. So the mirror is a good one, the violet flame is a good one.
Yeah.
That will really help.
Yeah.
And I've had to use that violet flame quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, because I'm a sensitive as well, like you. And we pick up, people's thoughts and ill intentions, and because we're not following their scripts or following their rules or doing as they're told, we've had to use these techniques.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a couple little tips for people out there to try if they need to.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And, if you get into an argument with someone, let's see if you can just work it out in the end. So then everything's all good and happy and balanced. And if you can't see eye to eye, then maybe just agree that you can't see eye to eye.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Yeah. But I think you're right. It does come back down to power struggles.
I think it does.
Yeah.
There's always some sort of power struggle. Maybe this scenario that we're all playing is about the power games and power struggles. That's why you're needing the different levels of power with the superhero or the hero and the villain or the villains. There's all this power going back and forth, which is, I don't know why I'm getting, like, it's a hot and cold tap, really, isn't it? And when you blend those two together,
You get warm.
Yeah, is that neutrality?
Maybe.
Not one extreme to the next, which we bounce out from.
Yeah. I feel the whole power struggle, because it's the people who are trying to overpower another group of people, and that group of people is saying, no, we have our own strength and our own power. So it is very much a power struggle of give and take, and how much can someone take from someone else and overcome someone else, and the other person saying, well, I just don't want to play your game anymore. Pretty much. Take your power somewhere else. Take your control somewhere else.
Yeah, but if you're working for a living for somebody else, you're pretty much dictated to.
But then there's still personal power.
But you've only got so much personal power when it comes to working with somebody, don't you?
Well, I think that also comes down to different jobs as well. Say, for example, you're working in a company that you feel like your personal power is being abused, then you have every right to go, you know what, this is not suited for me anymore, and choose something else that is going to be suited. You don't have to stay in that one job.
No.
For the rest of your life.
Or have a conversation, or...
Yeah, or have a conversation. Personal power is still power. Yeah.
I think we've covered quite a lot.
We have covered.
Because we didn't know how this was going to... Because we really don't know. It's really hard to... We don't have a script.
No. And I was just getting, it's like we pick a topic or we go through something and we're like, oh, that's a really good thing to talk about. But we never know how it's going to play out.
Or what's going to be said.
No.
No, which is part of the fun of it.
Yeah.
Because we're always on the edge of our seats, like, how's this going to turn out? I have no idea.
And sometimes we might feel like we go off topic, but we always do manage to bring it back. Or if the side topic is connected to the main topic as well.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm doing now, everyone, I'm just going to call in my soul group for a message. And I just always ask for my true soul group with a true heart space, knowledge and wisdom, and to share a different perspective to what we've been talking about. That is helpful and beneficial. Yes, we are here listening once again to your very interesting, sometimes entangled conversations of looping and going around in circles. It does make for an interesting listening experience, does it not?
I can imagine it would actually.
So the topic for today, the villain versus the hero. And as you've spoke to through this podcast, it is a very interesting tug and war of power versus non-power. It is very interesting to see that you are talking about the different perceptions that your race, humanity, you as a people, are always entangling yourselves with this struggle of the villain and the hero, and the rub, the conscious awakening to improve yourselves through this vibrational frequency. It does help you, unfortunately, fortunately, to move forward, to know thyself, to make changes, to shift your perception, to shift your struggles into a higher level of knowing and being. And at this time, Alison, you spoke about, does it need to be that way? No, it does not need to be that way, yet it is that way, because you keep on choosing it to be that way. Neutrality is a good tool to keep yourself out of the traumatic emotional experience and be in the feeling of it, but not the drama aspect of it. So you therefore can make better choices within yourselves, because the characters in your game are scripted to do their job, to trigger you, to make different moves on your chessboard game, which are more beneficial for you in the long run, the bigger picture of things. So we hope this has helped. And is there any questions, Alison?
Yeah, I guess more of a statement, or could be a question. In a way, whether or not us as souls choose to come into this experience, or we get forced to come into this experience, is it kind of saying that everyone, or all the characters in our game, are actually here for our benefit of evolving, let's say?
Yes, on both sides. The villain is learning immensely from the hero, and the hero is learning from the experience, or experiences from the villain. It is, you could say, a love match. And what we mean by this is that the learnings and the experiences that you learn from each other, either being the hero or the villain, is just as important as being the villain or the hero, depending on what you are needing to understand within yourself, and also what is happening within you. Is that part of the villain an aspect of you that needs to be, or has, or needs to be, or shared more light, more knowledge within? Because sometimes the villain can be an aspect of you that needs to be looked at and healed. So that is another level of perception as well. And same as the villain may need to go within themselves to understand the light frequency within them, to awaken their heart. Because you'll find that the true villains out there, yes, they are scripted, but their hearts are dormant, not awakened. And they run on rage in putting fear into everyone. Because that is their job, but that is the learning for the villain to learn and take upon themselves. The learning from the hero who's here full of light and love and wants to save and help everyone. So you got the different dualities and different sides of the coin, and in many ways it is the same coin, just different perceptions. As you see a diamond with light flowing into it, it cascades out rainbow colours. And if you're on the other side of the rainbow and someone else is on the other, if you're on the other side of the crystal, you'll get green, and then the other person on the other side of the crystal will perceive blue. Do you understand where we're going with this? So again, it's all about perception as well. There's more to this than meets the eye. It's just you were all conditioned to see either black or white, good or bad, hot or cold. Is there any questions from what we've just spoke about then, Alison? Does this make sense to you?
It makes a lot of sense to me.
So you spoke about the movie Little Buddha, how he had arrows coming towards him, and he changed the arrows into petals with a thought, a feeling, not buying into the drama of that, having a knowing to shift that particular energy, which can be any energy, turning it around into something beneficial for you. This could also be said about the villain in your life, changing your perception as you have done before, Alison, sending love and light that way to cancel out the destructive behaviour of another, diffusing it, neutralising it. Does this help?
I keep having, I do get to a question and then it pops out of my head.
Oh, so you're not allowed to ask questions, so something in the room is trying to pop stuff out of your head.
I was about, like, there was something that was said, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to ask a question about that, and I can't remember it. Oh, here's a question. Can they answer if, maybe not necessarily in this room, but are there both sides, let's say, of light and shadow that are listening to these podcasts? And if so, are there games that are being played out with this podcast, kind of like that tennis match?
Yeah, okay. I know
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yes, there is. Just because you're sitting and having conversation in your room with your microphones and your headphones in this physical arena, you are sharing your wisdom and knowledge, same with us, to the other frequencies or radio waves out beyond this frequency that you are both sitting in right now. So there is many listening, some trying to slow down, perhaps stop or turn it around for their own benefit, whilst there is us here, which is Jayson's soul group, to share our perception of positive energy, love, knowledge and wisdom. So again, you still have this both sides playing out, and it's up to it is your jobs, Alison and Jayson, to be as neutral as you can and not buy into the little dramas behind the scenes that play out, and stay focused on what you would love to share with the people through your podcast. So there's always energies coming and going, pushing and pulling, and it's your job to stay neutral as much as you can and not buying into the drama of what is playing out as much as you both can. Does this help?
Yeah, it gives me a perception of what plays or what goes on energetically and behind the scenes of the podcast as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes on that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And we have the feelings of the stop sometimes and all that sort of stuff. It's like we've got the the invisible, energetic world that could be the villain, and we're trying to be the superheroes.
Oh, that.
With the capes.
Yeah.
But it's our voices, our hearts, our minds, which is the hero in this, expressing what we perceive to be a beneficial, positive, what we talk about and everything.
And you are, in a way, it's you. If we go to the example of the invisible being the villain, then us as the physical are needing to keep pushing forward, to keep making the choices that are going to be more beneficial.
I'm getting the word navigate.
Yeah.
Because as soon as there's a push, there's a pull.
Oh, that's a good point. So trying to navigate, maneuver around maybe the objects. So it's always like there's always a clear stream going on.
Yeah, I'm getting water. Yeah, the water can fit into anything.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't push or pull.
No, it can fit into a tiny hole.
Into a glass, into a vase, into a cup, anywhere.
No, that's really good, because I can only go from my own experiences of the editing for the podcast. Yeah, I guess I was kind of more looking at my own, trying to navigate through my own blocks.
Well, yeah, I've got some info on that.
Oh,
with
okay.
Editing. Yes, Alison, with your editing, as you and Jayson spoke about before, you are going through different levels of learning and experiences and perception as you edit, going deeper within yourself. You may not be conscious of this playing out, but within you are learning on a different level as you are editing the conversation, as more of you is perceptualizing what you both have said or discussed within that particular podcast, and parts of you do struggle with some of this conversation. So it just takes time for you to digest, you could say would be a great word for this, digest some of the content within yourself. So therefore it seems like the editing takes longer than not, because you're needing, wanting, desiring to get it done as soon as possible. But on some podcast shows, there is many hidden lessons and learnings and understandings that another part of you is needing to understand and process, digest. So we say to you, be patient, do the best you can with the parts of yourself which are still at times playing catch up with this conversation at times, and you may feel and understand things may become more smoother in the future or in the present moment when you are editing. Is that helpful?
Yes, a lot. Thank you. I'm just going to explain it to everyone else that's listening. When I edit a podcast, Jayson does the audio, I do the visual, I do the YouTube, Jayson does Spotify, Apple, those platforms. And for me, doing the visual there's more to doing the visual, because I've got multiple layers, multiple levels that I need to
it's a lot
to edit. And after what they've just said, and you're right, we have discussed this before. For me, it's like I'm back doing classes again, because I used to do spiritual development classes or personal development classes, and each time I do an edit, it's like I'm going through that class, that lesson again, even though we've spoken about it, but now actually editing it and sitting down listening to it, it's like I'm going through.
You have to listen.
I have to listen, because in this present moment we're just discussing our opinion.
Yeah.
But when we edit, you have to listen. You got no option but to listen,
Because you need to edit it.
That's exactly it.
Every word, every sentence.
That's exactly it. And they've just given myself another level of understanding that even though me physically, I want to edit faster, but they've just given me another level of understanding that other parts of myself are like, oh, well, hold on, I need to just understand that a little bit longer for me to be able to move forward again.
Or understand it on a deeper level within you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we always have parts of ourselves which are playing catch up with other parts of ourselves. Because we're not totally whole as just yet.
Yeah.
We've still got other personalities and,
Like, think of us like a rainbow.
Yeah.
And then when we're together, we're one.
In alignment.
We're in alignment. We're one light, white light. But yeah. So I just wanted to explain that to everyone in case because they might not understand my concept or what's going on with me with the editing.
Yeah. And it all ties up. I'm just feeling with the villain and the hero, it's again to perception and not buy into the dramas and the triggers as much as you can. Not seeing it so much as villain, hero, seeing it as different levels of expression.
Yeah.
And different levels of understanding and different levels of consciousness within both. And at this stage of this particular game that we are in, it's still needed to have a villain and a hero because it's still shifting everyone. All movies are all made up of
villains and heroes. And
there'd be no movies if there was no pull or...
I think it doesn't matter what genre, comedy, I don't know, maybe not comedy.
No, but there's even, maybe not villains, but there's still that...
The opposites.
Playing out.
Yeah.
That makes up the story.
Yeah. Because, without, unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, in this realm, in this game, in this world, we do need opposites for a story to play out. So yes, that bit of information was very helpful on understanding and giving me the perception of other layers of parts of myself that might not be, that still need to catch up.
Yeah, it just needs another different level of understanding what's being spoken about.
And sometimes it's not as quickly as I want it to be.
No, I understand because I want to get it done in 5 seconds and it's just not possible. Just like our jobs, these companies want everything done in 5 seconds. It's like, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Some things take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it's just the way it is.
So yeah, thank you very much for that information.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Anything else that they want to share? Last words.
Because I feel like we're gonna be saying goodbye soon.
Yeah,
I just got that feeling. Yeah. Any last words? Sometimes it's important when you are in a villain or superhero predicament, pull yourself back, recenter and breathe, and look at it from the third person. Because the moment you are in that conflict, you could say, is the moment you can get lost in that trauma, that trigger, the good, the bad, the evil, the good. So pull yourselves back and recenter, and you will have a different perception, and different choices will be made that you can make. This is not always easy. Yet if you practice this, it will become easier and easier. We are appreciative of being here today, sharing our perception and understanding on this matter. It is another interesting topic to discuss, and we have a very powerful intention for people to be listening to this conversation. Many, many more people listening to this. We feel that this will help immensely with their own lives and have a different spin on the archetypes, because they are just archetypes, people. The hero and the villain, they are archetypes, as everything in this reality is archetypal. That could be another topic for another conversation.
That's a very good idea, actually.
Working on archetypes. Very powerful, and once you get your head around that, that will also help and support you being more neutral in seeing the symbology of what an archetype is. But again, we thank you all for listening and having us express our wisdom and our knowledge, our light and our love to you all. Until next time, blessings to you all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I like it. Goodbye.
That's why I giggle, because like when you talk, it's very flowy, very long, very soft, and then you get goodbye.
Yeah,
it's like short.
Yeah.
Complete opposite.
Well, they could say goodbye. No, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's not like me trying to say goodbye to somebody where it takes me half an hour to say goodbye.
Ugh, I can't stand that.
Yeah. Okay, we are.
I guess we're closing up. We're finishing for this one. But awesome topic for the next one maybe, because you know a lot about archetypes.
Yeah. Then let's have a chat about that after this.
Yes, we will have a chat about after this.
I'm excited about something else.
Because we've got a few other topics that we want to discuss. Yeah. So we'll write it down on the whiteboard. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today about either being a hero or a villain in someone else's story, and also a hero or villain being in your own story as well, and working on being more neutral if that ever happens to you.
You're not buying into the drama as much as possible.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed our quirky show. Another quirky one. Helpful. But thank you for watching, listening, tuning in to this episode. And we'll see you'll hear us in the next one. Bye.
Bye.